Sheikh, I've just remembered one really important point, right? This like defines you, and I forgot about this, right? Um, you know, one of the things you said in Niche Hero, you talked about like really successful people and people who are not successful, and you said the fundamental thing that underpins the successful people is taking action, right? So just tell me a little bit about like, why is taking action so important? Why do you say it's so pivotal? And how do you kind of get yourself to take action? Because we're human beings, we feel lazy, we feel conflicted. Like, what's the secret to actually being that guy who, you know, in Medina University, you're already thinking, how can I implement this? And then when you're doing stuff, you're implementing. Like, how do you become that implementer and that doer?
So, you know, it's actually a really big question that you're asking. It's not a small one.
Yeah.
Because how do you take action? I think even people who have studied this know that there's no like secret bullet on how to take action, because everybody has this problem. I taught a course, so I did Visionaire, and there's a lot of du'as, but how do you take action after you've made your du'as? Right? After you made your du'as, how do you take action? And for many years, a lot of my du'as would go unanswered, quote unquote unanswered, because I wouldn't take action on them. I didn't know how to take action on it. And so I studied this topic in depth and designed a course called Dreamwalker. So, and Dreamwalker is all about how do you walk those dreams? How do you take action? So here are, obviously it's a full course, but let me give you some 3 tips from on how to take action. Number 1 is taking responsibility. So a lot of people, when they don't take action, they blame something else. And when the first thing that I do in the Dreamwalker course is tell everybody, take out your pen and paper and write an accountability statement. That if I don't take action, I'm the one who decided to sleep in. I'm the one who decided to watch Netflix all night long, and in the morning I don't have any energy to wake up for Fajr, stuff like that. I'm the one who decided not to, you know, I bought a program and I didn't watch the videos. That was my decision, and I take responsibility for it and accountability. So first off is taking accountability, not because as soon as you start blaming something else, you lose all accountability. There's no power to you. You have to take accountability. Even when you commit a sin, Shaitan didn't do it. You did it. Yeah. You know, Shaitan whispers. But he's like, hey, if I'm committing this sin, I'm full. Anyways, you get the idea. Taking accountability. The second thing is identity. So identity is, who is it? You know, this thing that you want to take action on. Who is it that would have no problem taking action on this thing? So for example, somebody wants to work out, they usually have an identity like, I'm a fat guy. So fat guys don't work out. Or I'm a procrastinator. That's their identity. So I'm really careful about identity. So an athlete would get up and do the exercise. If they were like, you know, playing football or something like that, they would do the exercise. We know those football guys are exercising because that's how they identify themselves. So what I do is I tell students that take the identity of somebody who would take action and start calling yourself that. So you might start saying, I'm an athlete, I'm an athlete, I'm an athlete. And then your mind is like, no, you're not. Yes. Your mind will say, this is not true. And why is your mind saying this? Your mind is saying that this is not true because you don't do what athletes do. You don't do the habits of athletes, which is the last point that I'll mention here is you start building habits that you do so much until finally you believe the identity. And it's like, so I'll give you an example of that. I wanted a couple of years, I made this dua to snowboard down Whistler Mountain. It's one of the biggest mountains in Canada. And I didn't even know how to snowboard at that time. I think I took like 1 lesson. And so I was like, this is the biggest mountain. And I was freaked out and all of this stuff. And I started saying to myself, I'm a snowboarder, even though I wasn't a snowboarder. But I kept doing it. I went like 40 hours, 40 classes. And until finally, and I have my snowboarding helmet right here, and I have my snowboarding gear right beside me right now, because I did it so much, and I did the habits of snowboarding so much until I became a snowboarder. And then now it's become the identity that I used to call myself. I built the habits underneath it. So those are just three things on how do you take action. That's why I'm saying it's a lot more complicated than like it takes time. Yeah. And if there's one last thing about taking time, I found that, consistent actions, checking in, it takes about 8 months of checking in every week until it finally clicks. 8 months, right? That's checking in every week. And even if you check in every week, go like, I did not do this. I did not do this. I did not. Every week you're saying, I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. Didn't do it. And then I kind of did it after like 4 months. After 5-6 months, then you're like, I did it. But it takes time to settle into your mind, into your heart.
Amazing. Jazakallah khair. I'm so glad I asked that question.